Hello and welcome to Edicme's YouTube channel and editorial discussion for 18th May 2022. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video we shall discuss an editorial from today's The Hindu, which is titled A Concerted Effort in Reimagining Museums. Today is the International Day of Museums, and this editorial speaks of the way India wants to reimagine museum development. This article has been written by Minister of Culture, and if you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments and shares. Let's discuss. Because today is International Day of Museum, 18th of May, Indian government has decided that all the museums which are maintained by Ministry of Culture, they will be having no entry fee for the whole week. So it's a good time if you want to plan a museum visit which is managed by Ministry of Culture. No fees for you to pay. Now, India has around 1000 museums, and they do one important thing, that is they showcase India's heritage, India's culture, and they also happen to preserve both of them. But when we look at reimagining museums, making them state of the art, modern, contemporary, then we must go beyond what is showcased and what is the idea of preservation. We must go beyond and evolve the museums. And therefore, the article suggests three ways in which museums can be evolved. And in fact, Government of India is doing each of them. So firstly, museum space approach must transform to culture space approach. A simple example of this is when the statue of dancing girl has been placed in the National Museum in Delhi. I had gone to the National Museum and saw this small statue. This reflects the culture of the primitive times, of the Harappan times, and this must be placed at the local area to which the culture belongs. So people not only reflect on it as a way in which India had its cultural glory, but also start practicing it again. Similarly, if Tanjavur art, Tanjavur paintings are placed at elsewhere other than Tanjavur, then this will not promote the local art. People should be able to relate to what is happening in the museums, right? And to the daily life. Similarly, when the stolen art, stolen culture is retrieved by the government of India, it should be placed back at the same place from where it was stolen. This is the statue of one goddess which was retrieved from Canada, and this will be brought back to Kashi Vishwanath temple. This is goddess Annapurna, and a statue will be placed back at the same place from where it was stolen. So people will be able to reflect into what their actual culture was. Because India is a diverse country, therefore we must have a spatial approach, a cultural space approach rather than putting it in museums at random places. Very important, very interesting insight into this. Now, this is point number one. The second one is building museums with an approach that they are used for a specific purpose. Now, simple example is Rail Museum. Now, Rail Museum is used to demonstrate what has been happening in rail ever since. So this is a specific approach to museum rather than a general approach. Now, general approach is what is happening in Salar Jung Museum in Hyderabad, or what happens in National Museum in Delhi. Now, these are the places where you would see all things all intact. So India's culture, India's history, India's paleontology, the present culture, art, dance form, painting, science, technology, all of them would be found in the same museum. And having a specific museum for a specific purpose, that would be far more a specific approach, and that is what is required. For example, tribal museums. So India has initiated a project to have 10 tribal museums throughout the country. This is the image from Bhopal's tribal museum, and this is the Science City. Science City are various cities, in very interesting place to go. If you've not been, you must go. I've been to a couple of them, so very interesting. This is what is required. So museum on Buddha should be separated from museum of for armory, and then science and tribal museum. Simple example of how museums are created all abroad are, if it is for paleontology, it will be only for specific artifacts, and if it is for art and culture, specific for that reason, and then if it is there for armory, it will be only there for armory, right? This is what is required, and India is actually doing this right now. And the third one is to adopt science and technology and have an immersive approach. Now, I remember I would definitely love to go to a museum with my parents, but my mother would be a little reluctant on this. Why? Is because it would be monotonous. It would be only one way, one dimensional knowledge sharing. But then if there is more integrated approach, for example, if technology is used, that would be more immersive for a person to understand India's culture. So using artificial intelligence, augmented reality, interactive features and model storytelling, all of these things have been now used, and the best example is Prime Minister's Sangrahalaya. Now I am going to visit this place in this coming week. I hope I receive an exemption, because if it is maintained by Ministry of Culture, it will be an icing on the cake for me. The fees would be around 800 rupees approximately, because they have immense features inside this particular museum telling the history of all the prime ministers of the country. They have demonstrated a lot of other things. For example, they have also integrated the use of augmented reality, a walk with the prime minister, having a holographic image of the prime minister, and writing something on the board on online technology. So all these are interactive features, and this makes the engagement further. And there's another thing: breaking the silos is not only integrating technology but also going beyond Ministry of Culture. Other ministries also should be designated to uh, to maintain the museum. So rail museum is maintained by Ministry of Rail. Similarly, tribal museums, tribal ministry also have got a role to play. Science museum, it is also played a role by CSIR. So this is what is required in the country, not to just have a Ministry of Culture preserving the culture, but propagate the culture that India always had amongst people, and make it reflective in the day-to-day life. So this is the concept of reimagining Indian museums, and this would not only make us adopt the best practices that we always had, and this will also show the richness of our heritage, and we will feel humbled by this. So three ways: one is ensuring that the museums are transformed to a cultural space approach rather than just a museum space approach. It should be reflected everywhere, right? Specifically the local culture. The second is building the museum for specific purpose, and third, immersive experience through breaking the silos, not only culture ministry but other ministries, and using technology as well. Now you can translate all this, whatever spoken right now. I know you people are smart enough. You would be able to translate these three pointers to reflect anything that is a part of India's culture. If a question happens to come in GS paper 1, culture or history, you can reflect that the history has been treated only as silos to learn things but not to integrate them in the reality. So you can use all these 3 points, right, to be able to integrate India's culture into present realities. Now, quick question: mention 5 ways in which a common person would be able to develop connect with India's culture through museums. All right. Undermined question, but then relevant. If you like this initiative, share some love through likes, comments, shares. And if you got some questions, put it down in the comment section. We will ensure to get back. Thank you for watching.